We welcome you back to the Eagles pregame show brought to you by SeatGeek. Ben Goldstein, Matt Brown, it's Kelly Green, game day on the road in Dallas in a big, I guess it looks like a bounce back game for the Eagles, even though they're going for a fifth straight win this week. Looking to do it against the Cowboys. Matt Brown, how are you doing?
Ben, I'm doing good. It's crazy to feel like we're almost out of November. All right, we got another game next week for Black Friday against the Bears, but it's crazy how fast this NFL season goes, football season in general is going, and crazy enough, Eagles going for another win today. It's at this point, it's almost a given that they're going to be division champ for the second year in a row. We only got to win a couple more games to make that possible, but they could take that big step today against Dallas, and I'm excited to see how they look against America's team. Even I say that in quotation marks, America's team. Because I don't think they really are America's team anymore.
No, they haven't been America's team. The Eagles have the same amount of Super Bowl appearances since 2000 than the Dallas Cowboys do playoff victories. Each have
Love
4. It's wonderful. And the Eagles will look to get another win over Dallas. It'll be their 4th straight win over the Cowboys over the past 2 seasons. So looking to continue that. And this feels like a game. Eagles 8-2, Cowboys 4-5-1. This feels like if they are able to win today, really feels like the division is completely in their hands, and you can give them the shirts and hats now.
No, I've never heard of a team clinching a NFL division in November. Like, it's only I think rarely ever happened where you get not even in December yet, and we have a chance to clinch a division next week against the Bears if we win today and we win next week against Chicago. So the fact that you see the fact that they have so much, internal disagreements, and you're talked about oh, this team's not that great. And then we come back and every single week we're like, I don't know how this team keeps doing it, but they keep finding ways to win. And they're going to be the first playoff team to clinch, the first division champion of the season, maybe in November. Like, the things that this team has done over not just this year, but the last 4 to 5 seasons, since Jalen Hurts has taken over as a quarterback of this team, has been unbelievable. He's taken this team to new heights, and some. Same with Nick Sirianni too. We give them so much hate, and at times I totally think they deserve it. But at the same time, this team finds ways to win. This team finds ways to be at the top of the NFL every single year, and they're going to be competing for a Super Bowl, barring any drastic differences towards the end of the season.
Well, it is Dallas week. It's a big week here in Philadelphia, but there has been essentially no real Dallas hype this week because there are so many internal things going on with this Eagles team. You mentioned it with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense. Let's talk about the biggest one that came out. It came out with Diana Rossini before the game last week. It came out more with Derek Gunn, who just stressed a little bit more. And if there's any NFL reporter I trust, it is Derek Gunn. That dude has been around for so long with different publications. I think he's just independent now, but whenever that guy speaks, you have to listen. And there are frustrations in this locker room with how Jalen Hurts runs this offense. And there's other stuff with the offensive coordinator. A.J. Brown is still spreading some things. And there's just so much going on in this locker room negatively. And even got a Carson Wentz comparison to how the locker room used to handle Wentz back when he was in Philadelphia, which is really concerning to hear because Carson Wentz was not a good locker room guy. What are your thoughts on this? Jalen Hurts and frustrations in the locker room offensively.
So I totally understand what's happening with Hurts and with everything that's going on in this league. No team is perfect in this league. And a lot of the Eagles fans that complain about Hurts and have been complaining about this over the last couple weeks, I would just like you to spend an afternoon in another team's shoes, because a lot of other teams do not have the luxury of just playing great football every week and expecting wins every single week. A lot of teams, just say the Cleveland Browns or the Tennessee Titans, a lot of these teams have been bad for a long time. And I say this a lot. A lot of people don't realize this, and I don't know if it's just because of how great the last 10 years of Eagles football has been, but this is the best stretch of Eagles football that this franchise has ever seen. There were decades, not years, decades, where the Eagles would not even win 10 games in a season. And now we're just fully expecting them to, win 13 games. And I understand why people are expecting that. This team is capable of like being the top team of all time and going to the Super Bowl and winning multiple year after year. But every year teams have disagreements with each other, and the good teams figure out how to not let those disagreements, ruin the season. One thing I really liked hearing was, I don't know if you saw on 94.1 the other day, Jason Kelsey. Do you remember? Did you the other day? So for anybody who's watching that doesn't know what I'm talking about, Jason Kelsey went on 94.1 WIP, the radio show in Philadelphia this past week, and he talked about how during an entire all season, him and Lane Johnson didn't speak to each other, mainly due to the fact that they had a disagreement over things that Lane was saying about Chip Kelly's offense. It was during that season when the Chip Kelly offense was getting heavily criticized for just not being the way the Eagles should be running, and it was the truth. But Jason and Lane got.
Matt, I'm gonna cut you off because I have the video here, which can support your claim for those who did not see it. Here's Jason Kelsey on WIP this week talking about the locker room struggles with the Eagles.
I think the quotes on Jalen, I think that there are frustrations within a team that build up continually. And I think Jalen gets a lot of the highlighting of that, again, because he's the quarterback. Me and Lane Johnson one year, I'll put this out there. Me and Lane Johnson one year at the end of Chip Kelly's career, Lane made a comment in the media, said something along the lines of, we're the up-tempo offense is way too hard on us in practice, and we're working too difficult and guys are getting fatigued. And I remember reading that, and I'm like, dude, and I went out and said something in the media and said, what does Lane know? Lane's only been with the Philadelphia Eagles. How does he know what it feels like to do other practices? He's only practiced with Chip Kelly. So he's saying something and parroting something from what other guys are saying. And to be honest, I think we're pretty pampered here in Philadelphia. And Lane then made another comment. Lane and I didn't talk for an entire offseason.
Wow.
Lane is like one of my best friends. I love that guy. And this is part of being on a team. There are so many ups and downs. And I've gotten into yelling matches with Jeff Stoutland, a guy that I consider almost like a father. This thing brings out emotions and sides of people because you all want to win.
The stakes are so high.
And, I hate seeing this. And the only way out of this, and I mean this fully, and the only way, you talk to people. You be accountable. You try and work this out. It's not that much different than what you do in your marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You try to be accountable to what you're doing wrong, what you're failing in. You try to take accountability to alleviate the burden off of other people. These are the ways you maintain relationships and maintain a team functionality. And I think that, there's been reports of this over 2 or 3 years, and the team has still been massively successful. I think that by and large, the body of work that Jalen has put out there, you can't deny, in my opinion. And I think that you have to continue to work through this. And the only way to do that is to be accountable and to try and work together and maintain these relationships in a healthy way.
So, there you go.
Yeah, so that right there is how I feel about this team. You know how hard it is to bring a team together to accomplish a one goal? You have so many egos from so many different players, so many, you have no idea what other guys are going through and things like that. So many different beliefs that guys go through, and it's such a hard thing to come together. Now, the thing with Hurts, do I think Hurts is a tough guy and a tough leader? 100% I think he is. I think he, in his mind, he only thinks about winning. He does not think about another thing in the world. He doesn't care about rushing yards, passing yards. He doesn't care about who gets what ball and who does what. He, in his mind, is okay with the fact that if he has 6 passing yards in a game and they somehow pull out a W, he does not care. He wants to win. That is all that matters in his head. And now, don't get me wrong, everybody wants to win. But at the same time, you got guys like A.J. Brown who want to contribute into a win. I would even say guys like Barkley. He's definitely frustrated when he's only putting up 25 rushing yards a game and not really contributing to the offense, especially when the offense is still struggling. He feels like they could be better. So it's a really tough thing. So for people to come out and say that Hurts is a tough leader and Hurts, isn't the greatest locker room guy, I don't understand where that's coming from. I really don't think that guy should be saying anything like that. He is nothing like how Carson Wentz was in this locker room. These guys are night and day from that. Hurts wants to win, and he wants to do anything that is possible for him to win. And sometimes it comes at a cost. It comes at a thing of him being a jerk. Like that's just how it is. Like being the star, like being the quarterback, it's a tough job to handle in the NFL. It's somebody, I don't remember who said this before a long time, but there was a thing about how a backup quarterback on the team was like everybody's best friend for years and years and years. I don't remember who made this analogy or like who gave the example, but like the backup quarterback is always the team's best friend. And then all of a sudden, when the backup has to become the starter, it has to be the serious one. It's so hard to do that. Like it's so hard for quarterbacks to take control of a team and to just, and be the captain and be the guy that everybody centerfolds around. So I'm okay with Hurts being like that. He is a guy that can handle that situation. You've seen it. He has won Super Bowl. He has basically been a 2-time Super Bowl MVP for this team. Dating back to the one that they lost to Kansas City for Super Bowl 57. We really should have won that game, and he should have been the MVP of that game because he put the team on his back. And again, he was the MVP at last year's Super Bowl. He has willed this team to the playoffs 4 times in 4 years. He's going to do it a 5th time for this season. Like he has done everything possible that you've asked of him, being quarterback in the NFL on one of the hardest cities to play for, and yet he still continues to get disrespect. So I don't understand where his hate comes from. I get why it comes from people, but I just don't get that. People don't realize how lucky they have it with having a quarterback like Jalen Hurts.
It's like you don't realize you're in the good old days until you're out
Yeah.
of them, and
Yep.
that's kind of where I remember I wrote a piece last year, the night of the Super Bowl. I published it that morning. It's just like, remember this, like hold on to this moment because you're never gonna really experience not just like a game like that night was, but a team that this current Eagles, like how they are, because this is the golden standard of Eagles football. This is the
Yeah.
greatest run of Eagles football ever, like ever. You go back to when they wore the Kelly Greens. That the Kelly Green is a losing color. They never won in those colors with the Super Bowl once, and then the McNabb days. But no team has been to a Super Bowl twice together, and this Eagles team has done that, and they're looking like they could go to a 3rd this year. But a lot of this comes from AJ Brown and some other guys that aren't really contributing as much. And AJ Brown said this week, people asked if the media was like, maybe you're just having a down year. He was like, maybe Saquon. I guess Saquon's having a down year too, which is not the best way of maybe saying that. That definitely could have been phrased much better from AJ Brown, but I think I kind of understand what he's saying. Like, all right, if I'm not performing, Saquon's not having the numbers that he once did as well. It's just kind of different. Wait, where is there any blame that should be put here? Like, how do you get back to like everyone liking each other? Like, for better terms, like how do you get back to that standard where it's just like everything's cool, everything's good? Winning the answer? Because it certainly hasn't been.
Yeah, no, it's a fair argument. It's always something. The year after a team that's great is never usually the same. You've never seen a team pretty much be dominant in what they're dominant one season to the next. Everything always changes. And whether that's more film, whether that's new players, whether that's now in the Eagles, I think scenario, new play callers. I'm okay with putting a lot of this blame on Kevin Patullo. I think that's a fair argument. I think their offense is very one-dimensional. I think at times it can be very predictable, like way predictable than you really often should be. The main thing that I really am upset about with him is their lack of creative play calling. Like, obviously, you only have 2 options every play. You can either run or pass on first down, second down, third. Like, you only have 2 options every play. And obviously, on first and second down, you're going to try to run with your great Saquons and your Tank Bigsby of the world. You want to set up, a long drive and a long set of plays going. But it's just the lack of creativity. I've seen too many plays where you're running between the guards or you're running to the outside guards or outside the tackles trying to get plays, and you're never really spreading it outside, or you're trying to mix it up on the inside with some slight reverse plays and stuff like that on the offensive line. Everything just seems so one-dimensional. Like, it just seems so simple. And sometimes simple is good. But when teams know what you're running and teams have seen you on film from last year and you're basically doing the same thing as last year, it's not always going to work. And I think a lot of that blame has to come with Kevin Patullo. I think that he has just not been that great of a play caller and has held his team back a lot this year. And I don't think the answer is just force feeding AJ or force feeding Smitty or force feeding Saquon or letting Hurts just keep running. I don't think that's the answer. The answer is just getting everybody involved and just having a cohesive unit one by one and trying to be creative in an offense in a league where defense just runs this league. If you have a great defense in the NFL, you run this league. Look at the Eagles, for example. The Eagles defense has been balling the last couple of weeks, and it's been a big reason why they've been beating a lot of these great teams. So offense, it's such a hard thing to get humming. And I think eventually this Eagles team could do it. And I think today's the day. If there's going to be a day for this Eagles offense to, I don't know, wake up, you want to say, and, be the offense that they know they can be, this Dallas defense is really not. I know they had some really good players now after the trade deadline, but excuse me, it's just not the same. This defense is not that great. They're bottom tier almost in everything in the NFL. And if the Eagles really want to get their passing game going, especially, today's the day.
We are over an hour away from kickoff. 4:25 kickoff with the Eagles and Cowboys at AT&T Stadium down on the field right now. Tom Brady having a catch with A.J. Brown. So, kind of interesting. Maybe, A.J.'s like, hey, I wish you maybe this is like going to be like the Patriots fans are going to scoop this up and run with it. Like, oh, he's having catch with the Patriots quarterback. Let's go to the Patriots. Whatever.
Maybe the Raiders real quick too. He's the Raiders owner. Maybe they want another wide receiver stud. That's funny.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know who'd be throwing the ball over there, but they'd be able to figure it out. All right, let's talk about. You mentioned Kevin Patullo. We're talking about AJ Brown. What in the world happened last week against Detroit? They come out with the win, 16-9 over the Lions, and AJ Brown. Hey, they got him the ball. That's what we want, right? Like we want them to chuck it down to AJ Brown. 11 targets, 7 receptions, 49 yards. They fed him early, and he surpassed his total from last week in the first 2 drives. But, it was just weird. None of it felt like a natural, like they were force-feeding him the ball. It's like when you have, a baby and they don't want to eat, but you got to force it in their mouth with, the choo-choo train or the airplane. That's how it felt when we were throwing the ball to A.J. Brown last week. It didn't feel good. And you only had 5 targets to Devontae Smith. So there was no balance between the 2-star wide receivers. And he only had 1 reception as well. 2 of the Eagles' 13 drives on Sunday night went for 30 yards or more. They struggled to run the ball. They struggled to extend drives. They struggled to block. The passing game was still off. The play calling was inconsistent. 3rd down was still an issue. And more drive-killing penalties. It's the same thing we've seen over and over and over again. And even this, they were 1 for 6 on the tush-push. Was this just a bad offensive game? Or was this just how the Eagles are? Because I look at the numbers, they ranked 25th in the NFL in yards, 28th in first downs, 29th in 3rd down, and 22nd in scoring. They scored 17 or fewer points in 4 of their last games. Is it just, are they just not a good offensive team? Because there's too much talent for this offense to be like this.
No, I think they are a good offensive team that just is struggling right now to find its groove. And I like to give the best example last week. Last week, I truly feel like that was just a bad offensive performance from the Eagles. I don't think they brought their best stuff in terms of play calls. I don't think they really called it. That was a big example of Patullo just being so one-dimensional. He just stuck to their guns. And even I'll give Sirianni some crap with this too, because on the tush-push plays, I'm sure he was the first one to be saying to go for it on the 3rd and 4th down, even though it was not working the other night, and just doing traditional tush pushes. And obviously it was not working. That's where I have problems with this team, when they just look too one-dimensional and they just don't know they can't do anything that they normally done right, but they're so selfish and they just want to make it look great and make it work that they try to keep doing it. As much as I just defended Jalen Hurts during the entire first part of our show, I think that was the worst game Jalen Hurts played as an Eagle last week. And in terms of stats, maybe not, it wasn't his worst game because he didn't have any interceptions or anything like that. But last week with Jalen Hurts, I just think his inaccuracy was just a huge problem last week. I think that was some of the worst looking balls he's thrown all year. I just don't think he had control of the offense at all the entire night. I don't think he had control of the game over. That's something you don't normally see with Jalen. Normally, Jalen, he takes control of the situation and, does everything to his standards. Last week, in my opinion, I just don't think he had a great week. And I think that affected the rest of the team. like you're saying, it was their game plan at that point was force feeding the ball to AJ. It wasn't working. They barely even got Smitty involved. Saquon couldn't run really. They couldn't even get the ball to like Dallas Goedert really. And that to me was the problem last week's game. I just think Jalen just didn't play well. The offense didn't come out with their best plays, and it just looked ugly. Now, thankfully, the defense showed up, and the Lions were in hell. Jared Goff was in hell last week. I mean, he could not do anything. And people were complaining about the PI call, and I'm going to put this on record right here. That was a bad call. We should not have been awarded pass interference, or we should not have gained the first down on that. That should not have been a defensive pass interference.
That was the best call the refs have made, like in the tooth. Like that was a great call. I mean, it was so obvious. It was just really, I don't know what everyone's talking about. Great call.
But here's the thing with that. Even if they get that first down, it's not like that would have scored them a touchdown. They were not going down the field. Jared Goff was not going down. He was 2 for his final 18 on passes. He was not going down that field to score that touchdown. So I get it. It ended that drive, but everybody that thinks that game would have ended with the game-winning Jared Goff touchdown, I really don't think that was happening anyway. I think that defense had him checked. And, it's unfortunate that at this point, the defense has to carry so much because it's not going to happen like this every single week. At least it shouldn't. We can't expect the defense to only let up like under 15, 16 points a game. That's just not how the NFL works. And especially today, in my opinion, that's how it's going to be. As good as this defense is, I still expect the Cowboys to come out and put some good points up today and score a couple touchdowns. Their offense is, I think, on par with the Eagles' defense in terms of like in that scale. Like their offense is a top 5 offense in the NFL when they're all healthy, and they are all healthy. And the Eagles, I think, are a top 5 defense when all healthy. So it's a battle on both sides today. Who's going to do what? And that's why I think today's game is going to come down to the Eagles offense and what they can do.
However, that Cowboys defense is not very good. They rank 30th in pass defense, allow essentially 250 yards per game through the air, and have allowed 23 total touchdowns. Eagles offense last time only moved the ball for 152 yards against Dallas in the air, and only 8 yards went to A.J. Brown. And the Eagles were completely healthy because that was the first game of the season. So we'll see what they can do today. And the run game could be an issue. They're without Lane Johnson, who he was never placed on the IR. He's inactive today. Does not need surgery, so he could return in, they're saying, about a month. With the Lisfranc injury, and then Cam Jurgens will return after being concussed last week. However, this Dallas Cowboys defensive line, of course, losing Micah Parsons, has gained Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams. And Williams from the Jets in his debut 2 weeks ago had 4 tackles and a sack, or last week, in Vegas, had 4 tackles and a sack and a half. So could have some trouble on the ground, but this feels like a game for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense to finally get something going in the air. And how many weeks have we been saying that for?
Yeah, no, it's literally been, I think, the story of the season, getting the offensive passing game going. If this is not the week, then I don't think it's ever going to happen. I think at this point, it's just going to be a slow burn offense for the rest of the year. I don't think they really, there's only one other game the rest of this year where they play a worse defense, and that's Las Vegas, when they're home against the Raiders in a couple weeks. Even the Chargers, I know their defense hasn't been great, but they're still decent. And then same with the Commanders too. They haven't been great, but they're still a better defense than Dallas right now. But again, the up front is a very tough test for this Eagles team. That front seven is going to be coming for Jalen Hurts the entire night. But this secondary, Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs, I really don't think they're that great. The safeties aren't that great. Linebackers are okay. This is the type of defense where they need to just control through the air. I don't think the run game is really going to be open tonight. I don't think Saquon's going to have that great of a day. Same with Jalen. I think they're going to be keen in on him, trying to get after him, which in that case, he needs to use his legs on scrambles. I just don't think direct runs, are going to work for him that well. But it's going to be an air night. If it's not, then again, this team is going to struggle to score points. And if that's the case, then this team is going to struggle to win. Because like I said before, Dallas is going to score points tonight. We're not going to have – if somehow Dallas doesn't score more than like 14 tonight, then I would be very shocked. Because they're going to score at least a couple touchdowns, probably kick some field goals to Aubrey, because Brendan Aubrey is also a stud. That's another thing the Eagles are going to have to worry about tonight. They're going to be in field goal range pretty much once they cross midfield. But overall, they need to just lock in the air and just do what they do best and let Jalen Hurts cook and let him, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith cook as well. And I think they'll be okay. But they just need to take advantage of things. You need to get open on route. Getting open on routes is a big thing, I think, tonight. I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle for the Eagles, because it feels like they're just some of these routes that these receivers are taking are just not working for this team.
All right, it's time for a trivia question, and we are 12 weeks in, and I still am yet to get these guys to get a wrong question. But here we go. For this week, a former Eagle has 2 100-yard interception returns against the Dallas Cowboys, making him the only player in NFL history to do so against the same team. Who is it? He picked off Vinny Testaverde. Oh, wow, I just
Vinny Testaverde.
Testaverde. I don't know what just happened with me right there. In 2004, returned it for 101 yards. And then picked off Drew Bledsoe in 2006 and returned it for 102 yards. So he is the only NFL player ever to have 2 100-yard pick sixes against the same team. Who is it? And we will revisit that question later on in the show. So keep it in the back of your minds, people, and you'll be able to answer that in the chat as we go along. I feel like this is the week I'm finally going to get you guys. I'm finally going to get you. Finally going to do it. All right.
Dude, I have some guesses.
If you get this question right, like, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to be angry. All right.
I have two names in mind. We'll get back to it later, but I have 2 names in mind.
That can't happen. Something that also can't happen is this Eagles defense letting up anything with how this offense is playing, and it looks like they're not going to let anything happen because this might be the greatest defense we've ever laid our eyes upon. They are amazing. By the way, Jameis Winston just caught a touchdown.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Holy crap!
Let's see. The play is so we a little bit of a Philly special.
Oh yeah.
And then Winston gets up to the 20. It's a 20-yard pass. He makes a move, breaks a tackle, and then gets into the end zone. So
wow.
The Giants now lead 27-17.
Holy crap.
Against the Detroit Lions. So interesting stuff going over there in Detroit, and also a crazy, crazy play. Anyway, this defense starts at the front, and everything just moves back. And the improvement of this pass rush and run defense is what has turned this defensive unit around over the last couple of weeks. In this 4-game winning streak, they've allowed 83 yards and 3.7 yards per carry. That is crazy. Against Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery last week, who came in with nearly 1,200 combined rushing yards, 50 touchdowns, they had just 66 yards on 18 carries. Crazy. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis had the block party, a little Dikembe Mutombo going on. They had 5 blocks combined. One of them turned into the Cooper DeJean pick 6. Nakobe Dean is playing the best football he has ever played. He's going to be costing Jeffrey Lurie some money. Jalen Phillips showed up again, 4 pressures and a sack. And just watching him bounce off of his blocker and make a play is just amazing. I don't know how he does it. And Jalix Hunt sneakily has become lethal off the edge. Last week, 6 pressures led the team. 5 quarterback hits led the team. A hurry and a 16.7% win rate, which led the team. This pass rush and run defense, Matt, is incredible. And it is crazy how bad they were earlier this year. And just what an incredible turnaround. It all started, when Jalen Carter finally got healthy, and it only got better with the addition of Jalen Phillips.
I think a big turning point for that, and I'm sure you probably agree with this, is just giving this team some time. Like, you're talking about the team that doesn't play any preseason games. They go straight into the season with their starting lineup not touching the field once. And going into the year, what was the biggest question with this team? The biggest question was the defense. How was the defense going to respond with losing some guys? Because we don't forget, we lost a lot of guys in free agency last year. Isaiah Rodgers, Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Orrin Burks, Darius. Those are huge starting guys for majority of the season that we lost to free agency. And coming into the season, the Eagles had the plan for it. They had the Jalix Hunt, the Mora Jomos, They had two high-end draft picks that they spent on defense in Makuba and Jahad Campbell. They had the corners that were ready. Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, they were ready to step up. On defensive front, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter were taking that step to be the guys instead of just, the guys in rotational pieces, Whitmill, Williams, and Sweat. So you just had to give this team some time and let them adjust. And look what's happening now. Moro Jomo and Jalix Hunt are playing out of their minds this year. Both of them. Jalix Hunt especially, you said all those stats right there. Moro Jomo as well has been huge for this team. Jordan Davis as well. Jordan Davis has taken that mid-tier step to like edging on the superstar stepped overall. Like he's going to be, there's a good chance that they don't get the Pro Bowl spots because of this if they go to the Super Bowl, but he's probably going to be up there in Pro Bowl for defensive tackle. I think he leads the league in pass deflections. He has just been all over the place this year. He has that block the field goal for the touchdown back in week 3 against the Rams. Jalen Carter has just been best player on the field mentality all season. I know the stats don't back it up, but again, with defensive tackles, you're not expecting 15 sacks out of guys like that. You're expecting guys to wreck the middle of the field and wreck the run game, and that's what he's doing. And then we make the trade for Jalen Phillips, and Jalen Phillips has been exactly what this team needed. They needed a stud edge rusher that can get after the quarterback, be great, and that's exactly what he's done. And then you got the guys in the linebacker room. N'Kobe Dean has been great. Zach Bond has been fantastic. And overall, this team has just been so good. I would say this is the best stretch this defense has played ever, and probably the best it's looked since last year's Super Bowl. Like, that's how great this defense has been. And if this defense can be this great going the rest of the year, I have no doubt in my mind they're getting back to the Super Bowl if they can keep winning, because they're going to be – no one is going to want to play this defense come January. And if they're at home, number 1 seed, oh man, they're getting geared up for another Super Bowl. They just got to get this offense right. We've been saying it, but they've been so good recently.
And a lot of that is because of the secondary. The defensive line has time to get pressure because the coverage is so good. Quinyon Mitchell, Adoree Jackson, ladies and gentlemen, Cooper DeJean. Goff completed a career low 38% of his passes on Sunday night. 38%. Amon-Ra St. Brown was targeted 12 times, had 2 completions for 42 yards. 0 catches when matched up with Cooper DeJean. 0 when matched up against Quinyon Mitchell. Each had 3 targets against Amon-Ra St. Brown. Adoree Jackson had 11 matchups with him and allowed just 1 catch on 5 targets. 1 catch. They are an elite group. And you got Reed Blankenship back there as well. Andrew Makuba, who was playing very well. But I want to really highlight Adoree Jackson, because you go back earlier in the year and he was horrible. He has now taken a huge step, and he has solidified his spot as a quarterback too. And now on this defense, there's no holes. There's no issues. Now we just got to keep it up. They're going to have a big test this week, which we're about to get to, because this wide receiver group is elite with Dallas. However, Adoree Jackson is all of a sudden a great corner. Like, this is awesome.
Now, the one person I had to highlight out of that is Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell has entered lockdown territory. I think he's right about that edge of top 5 corner in the NFL. He is that good. He has taken name after name after name, and he has given them almost their worst weeks of the entire season. Amon-Ra St. Brown last week. Packers really didn't have a number 1 receiver, but all those receivers that he covered, he was locking them down. He has taken away top guys week after week, and he is finally getting the respect that he deserves. Obviously, he was always getting that respect as he could be this top lockdown guy because we've seen the flashes of it, but he's finally proving that he is a lockdown number 1 corner, and he took that step this year really big, and I'm really happy and impressed that he has been able to do that. He has just been such a big boost for this team in terms of, I couldn't tell you the last time this team has really had a no doubt about it lockdown outside guy. And even when they had Darius Slay at his best, I never really saw Darius Slay as this great guy. I thought he was good. I thought he was worth the trade when they traded for him, and he would bring that veteran leadership and be that guy that could be in the big spots. But I never saw him as a Darrelle Revis top guy, or a Patrick Surtain the second top guy. He is entering that territory of top guy right now. And like you were saying, Adoree Jackson is playing really well right now too. He is getting great reads on corners. Hopefully we can continue to see that today. He's probably going to have another big test, as you alluded to. Cooper DeJean has been Cooper DeJean. He's basically a linebacker that can play corner. That's going to be his role for the next decade in this league. And it's such a big role to have because not a lot of people can do that. Makuba is becoming his own player. He's still playing great. Reed Blankenship's going to cost Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie some money too, because he's playing out of his mind, expecting a new contract this offseason. They have just been so good all around defense. And I can't believe that it's come to this point, because this defense has a chance to be better than last year's defense, which we consider the best defense in Eagles history, who sacked Mahomes 5 times in the Super Bowl with the Cooper DeJean pick 6 and only allowed 6 points when their starters were in a Super Bowl. Like, you have a chance to be better than that. And I just really hope that this offense can take the step forward that they need, because you'd be wasting a top tier defense that this Eagles team have if you cannot find a way to not only get back to the Super Bowl, but win the Super Bowl. So I'm just really impressed with what this team has showed me these last couple of weeks. It makes you excited for this team going forward.
It is exciting, and now what I'm excited to see is how they fare against this Dallas offense. If people, the number one excuse with this offense, and how they've struggled the last 2 weeks. In Green Bay, it was freezing. In Philadelphia last week, it was windy. You're playing indoors now in AT&T Stadium. The only thing you got to deal with is like a glare of sun coming out of the window. That's it. That's all you got to deal with. No other conditions, and the sun's going to set because it's November and the sun goes down quickly. So, the other offense had to deal with that as well. The Packers and the Colts and the Lions, who typically play indoors, had to play outside in the wind. Now it's total normal condition, totally neutral. So this defense, we'll see if it's really legit, because they're not dealing with weather and they're dealing with an elite offense. Dak Prescott is having sneakily having a fantastic year. He's 6th in the league with 2,587 passing yards. He has the best quarterback rating in the NFL, 74.9, 21 touchdowns, which is tied for second. And last time against the Eagles, he played pretty well, because he seems to always play well against the Eagles. He was 21 for 34 with 188 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Longest pass was 32, a QB rating of 61.2. They got to get pressure on him today. They have to do it. That's how you're going to stop him. And then look at these two receivers, CeeDee Lamb, and how about George Pickens? Out of nowhere, 58 receptions for 908 yards. That's second in the NFL. 7 touchdowns, averages 15.7 yards per play, And the Eagles did a good job against Pickens in week 1. Held him to just 30 yards, but CeeDee Lamb was able to take advantage over Adoree Jackson, had 110 yards. But this is a different Adoree Jackson. It's a different Eagles defense. And one other thing, the Eagles didn't have Jalen Carter in that game because he spit at Dak Prescott. # Dak spit first. As long as nobody's spitting tonight, they're going to have Jalen Carter on this defense, and that's only going to help, of course. But how important? What are the couple of things that the Eagles have to do against this Dallas offense tonight to prove that they are legit?
So for one, just continue to dominate on the defensive side. Like that's the number one thing. And you hit the nail on the head. They gotta do exactly what they just did to Jared Goff, but with Dak Prescott. They can't let him, settle back in there. We're gonna see it tonight. People can say all they want, and they can hate Dallas all they want. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are the best wide receiver duo in the NFL in today's NFL. Week 12 NFL. They are the best 2 in the NFL wide receiver duo. So this is going to be a really tough test for the Eagles. It's probably the best group of wide receivers they're going to play. I know they already played in week 1, but this is I feel like this is different. They're actually like playing at their best right now, both of them. So it's going to be a tough test for these two guys, it's against those two guys. And it's going to be a tough test for them to get after Dak and make his life a living hell, because if they let Dak ease in, and people got another thing with Eagles fans and hate Dallas all they want. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. He's an above echelon quarterback. Excuse me. He's a veteran of this league. He knows what to do and knows how to win. Does he always have the weapons and the great defense that can help back those wins? Not really. Look at the Cardinals game a couple weeks ago. They almost blew the Raiders game last week on Monday Night Football because of how bad their defense is. The 40-40 game against Green Bay a couple weeks, like in week 4. He can consistently put up numbers with not even great weapons, and he has great weapons. He has Lamb, he has Pickens, he has Javonte Williams, a really good running back, Jake Ferguson, a top-tier tight end in this league. They have the weapons to put some numbers up today on the Eagles. And I said it earlier, if they don't score 14 points today, Dallas, then the Eagles are taking over, and they're officially here, and they're officially probably the best team in the NFL. But the Eagles have to score today to keep track with what Dallas is going to do. I'm fully expecting Dallas to put some points up, but I'm fully expecting the Eagles to combat that and put some points up themselves. So really, if they want to win today and be the best team in the NFL and call themselves that, they need to play better offensively and be more consistent. They're going to let up points. It happens to everybody, but that's what they need to do today in Jerry World. It's a tough test on the road. I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas is in this game till the end of the contest. I'm talking like game-winning field goal, game-winning touchdown. They're going to be in this game. So I would not be shocked if they even lose today, the Eagles, because they're going to be in this game, Dallas, all day. They want to win this game big time.
Is this a trap game for the Eagles? They got a big one against Chicago next week.
It might
Black
be
Friday.
100%. I say this all season. I've said this all season long. Last year, it was the Falcons game that I wish they didn't lose. This year, it's the Denver game. I really wish they didn't lose that Broncos game, because a loss today, I really wouldn't feel that upset. And then as long as they won the Bears game next week on Friday for Black Friday game, I'd be okay. But last year, it was the Falcons game. This year, it's going to be the Denver game that I'm pissed that we lost. The Giants one, we were all hurt. It was a short week. Nobody wanted to play that game. I could see this week being the Commanders trap game of last season. Remember that one where they went into Washington and they just, they didn't have it. Team just didn't play well. Hurts ended up getting hurt. Kenny Pickett ended up playing majority of that game. I could see that being this week's Dallas game. I think Dallas is going to fight hard. They got a good offense. They know how to score. They're playing hot. It's 4:30 prime time. I know this is considered prime time, but it's the prime time of the Sunday games. This is a big game for Dallas, and they want to make sure that they win this because they feel like they could still make the playoffs as a wild card team. I know they're far back, but games like this are games they need to win. Everybody just assumes the Eagles are going to win this game. This is 100% a big trap game for the Eagles.
Well, Matt really didn't give me any encouragement, so thank
Sorry,
you.
man.
Thank you for that. But you gotta keep it real sometimes. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what goes down in Jerry's world tonight. A lot of Eagles fans down there in Dallas tonight. All right. Your inactives for tonight for the Eagles include Sam Howell, who will be your third quarterback, Mac McWilliams, A.J. Dillon, Ty Robinson, and Lane Johnson. Interesting they didn't put Lane on the IR.
That honestly tells me that he may be back beforehand. Like, he might be back before the 4 weeks are up. It's crazy to me because a Liz Frank injury is a very serious injury for linemen, especially. I know people growing up in high school, they dealt with Liz Frank, and it was not a fun injury for them. They missed basically the entire season because of it. It's a very serious injury, and the fact that Lane is going to superpower his way through this and probably not go on IR is kind of crazy to me. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm confident in Fred Johnson, who's going to play right tackle today in place of Lane. He's a guy that they honestly didn't want to let go in free agency, and I'm really confident in him overall today. So we'll see how he does today against a really good Dallas front rushing defensive line. But I'm really excited to see what our offensive line does today.
Fred Johnson, yeah, you said it will fill in for Lane today, and we've seen good stuff from Fred all season. So, and he likes being an Eagle. We know that. So I'm excited to see what he can do down on the right side tonight. All right, Cowboys inactives. Receiver Jalen Tolbert, running back Jaden Blue, offensive tackle Hakeem Adeniji. All right, we're gonna go Adeniji. Adeniji.
Look this up.
Adeniji. I think it's Adeniji.
I think you're right.
All right, defensive tackle Jay Toye, and defensive tackle Perrion Winfrey. So nothing exciting there with the Cowboys inactives at all. All right, our notable matchups for tonight, Matt. Give me a couple of them. What are you looking at tonight? Eagles, Cowboys, 425, AT&T. Big one for both teams tonight. Notable matchups. What do we got?
Notable matchups. I'm gonna word this the way I want to word this. It's George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, whoever isn't being covered by Quinyon Mitchell. That's number one. I'm assuming it's Adoree Jackson tonight, which he's going to get the start again. We're assuming he's going to be covering the one that Quinyon doesn't cover. So whatever wide receiver that Quinyon Mitchell isn't covering, whether it's CD or George Pickens, that's going to be the guy I feel like that Dak locks in on. I feel like they're going to try. I feel like it's going to start at CD, and they're going to try to feed George Pickens a little early in the game because they want to get Quinyon on to George Pickens so then they can go back to CeeDee Lamb and try to go back and forth and make it confusing. So I'm really interested to see how they handle that situation tonight because Adoree has played better. So is Adoree going to be able to hold his own again tonight? against Pickens and CD, who I consider the best in the NFL right now as a duo. So that's my notable matchup number one, because I feel like that's going to be the thing that pretty much changes tonight's game. If Dallas is going to end up picking up that win, it's because they're going to exploit that matchup, and it's going to be something that Dak is all over tonight by far. And then my other notable matchup, I have Jalen Carter, and I just put versus the Cowboys. Like Jalen Carter, he did not get to play a single snap in first game of the season, opening night, raising the banner, championship victory for the Eagles week 1. You know, the whole Spitgate, hashtag Dak spit first. I love that hashtag, by the way. It's sick. I had never heard that till right now. But hashtag Dak spit first didn't give a chance for Jalen Carter to play in week 1's game. And now he gets his opportunity to go wreak havoc. He is going one-on-one with Tyler Booker. Do you know who Tyler Booker is? He's the guy that is called the Jalen Carter stopper because he did well against him in college. That text was first. That's funny. He's going one-on-one with Tyler Booker, called the Jalen Carter stopper. That is his nickname in college, because when Tyler Booker was at Alabama and Jalen Carter was at Georgia, that was the guy that his job was to take Jalen Carter out of the game. And he did a pretty good job of that. I'm going to give him credit. He did very good in college. But this is Jalen Carter in the NFL. This is the guy who is going to get a big, massive contract from this Eagles team in this offseason. I'm not looking forward to paying that, because he's going to get top-tier money. But he has just been a havoc wreaker all season long, and he is going to continue that tonight. He's fired up for this game, I feel like, the most out of anybody on this team. He wants to make Dallas's day a living hell, and he's going to do that by getting after the quarterback, stopping the run, doing what he does best. So Jalen Carter, I just put versus the Cowboys, not even a single person. He wants to destroy Dallas offense. That's all his job is going to be tonight. So I'm looking forward to that.
I want Jalen Carter, game sealing sack, end of the game on 4th down. Everyone gets off the field. He stays on the field, and he pops a big Luger right onto the star at the 50-yard line. Wherever they're out on the field, he's going to run out to the 50-yard line, just spit right in the middle, and then will become an all-time picture. It's going to be an all-time Philadelphia sports moment. That would be epic. He might get fined for it. He's not spitting on anybody.
He might cause a fight.
He's not spinning. I mean, he's not spinning directly on anybody. So, I mean, it's not really a thing. It's just, he just happened to be there and just, had something come up with some phlegm. And, he had to projectile it onto what was near him. And he picked the big blue star in the middle of the field. I think it would be very fitting. And it would instantly make, they would hang that up at Lincoln. Like, they would put the banner outside the stadium of Jalen Carter spitting on the star. It would be an all-time Eagle moment. It would stand out. And speaking of stand out, how about our SeatGeek standout stars? Because SeatGeek, they stand out when you are buying your tickets. It's the easiest, the most efficient way to buy your tickets. Make sure to go to SeatGeek and use code Philly Sports Report, PHILLYSPORTSREPORT, to save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Again, code Philly Sports Report, save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. And they're sponsoring the show, and they're sponsoring this segment. Our SeatGeek standout stars. Matt, who's going to stand out tonight for the Philadelphia Eagles or for the Dallas Cowboys?
So I already mentioned him one, but it's I'm going to go both the Jalen Carter and Jalen Phillips. I just mentioned a lot about Jalen Carter. I think this is his game to where he just absolutely wrecks everybody, and he just doesn't want anybody to do well tonight. He's coming for blood, and he wants to see it happen. And another person, I said that Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips has been exactly what this defense has needed. He has been the star edge rusher that they have asked for years. That could be a top-tier sack guy if he really played a full season with this team and with this group. Depth guys, I think the Jalens are just going to have an absolutely massive day on defense. I'm looking for them to really stand out. And it's the guy we opened the show with on offense. It's Jalen Hurts' game. It really is. Like, it's his day to prove the doubters wrong in the air, have a great passing day, kind of similar to like the Minnesota game earlier this year, when he passed for like 200-something yards, 250, had one of his most efficient passing days overall. Today's the day for him to just dominate through the air with his top-tier receivers in A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon, Dallas Goedert, Jahan Dotson. Today's his day, and I'm really looking forward to him having a good day in Dallas because I just think he's going to. On the Dallas side, I've mentioned these two guys, but I think Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, one of them is due for something big today. They're gonna dominate in just terms of receptions and just terms of just getting big yardage plays. I'm not looking forward to it, but I just know what's going to happen. I just hope that we can contain it enough, because if we do, I know we're going to pick up this victory today. So that's what I have today for Standout Stars.
All right, thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the SeatGeek Standout Stars. Our locks of the game: Eagles are -3 on the spread. Over under is 47.5. Matt also has some other locks. What are we thinking today? Where are we putting our money?
So I'm going on the over, and I know what you're saying. I don't think the Eagles have scored. They have hit the under in the last 2 weeks. Why in the world we even consider betting the over in Eagles football? It just doesn't seem like the right thing. But like I mentioned, this Dallas defense isn't great. They're going to let up points today. I fully expect Dallas to do the same, to score some touchdowns. You'll see my score later. It'll reflect over that 47.5. I think both teams are going to find the end zone multiple times today. It's going to result in a lot of points. I feel confident in them going over today, that 47.5. The thing I'm avoiding, though, I don't know if that Eagles line has changed from 3 or it's going up or down 3.5, 4.5, whatever it is. I'm staying away from all that because, like I mentioned, this seems like a trap game for the Eagles. It's still sitting at 3 right now as we speak. Less than half an hour away till the game. I'm staying away from that line. It's way too close, especially 3 points. I could see the Eagles winning by 3 points, and then you have a push. I could see them losing by 3 points. I could see so many things like that. I don't think the Eagles win by much more than one score. Like, I would be shocked if it's more than 10 points. Like, even that's into my opinion, close. I think it's going to be this game is going to be eerily similar to me as the Minnesota Vikings game earlier this season. I think they're just going to have to battle all game long. It's going to come down to who holds the ball last or who can control the ball towards the end of the game. And I really don't like those small number of points that the Eagles have to cover. So I'm staying away from that. The thing I'm locking in, though, I have A.J. Brown catching over 4.5 balls. I am this is over under set today. I'm really confident in that. I think that he is going to get fed again today, especially early on. I have him going over in that 100%, and I have him over in his 59.5 receiving yards. I think 5 catches for 60 yards is very capable of AJ today. I really don't think there's anybody on this Dallas defense that can cover him well enough to do that. And then also in that case, I think Jalen Hurts throws for over his 217.5 passing yards today. I think he has a couple passing touchdowns as well. One maybe to AJ, and one maybe to Goddard. Maybe even getting Smitty involved, hopefully. I think it's going to be a big day in the air for Hurts. So I'm expecting big with that. And if for all you defensive sickos out there, if you really want to go bet defense, Jalen Phillips to record a sack seems like a really big lock today. I have a feeling he's going to have a big moment, a big third down sack at some point today. He's going to embrace himself maybe on that star if they're at midfield. That'd be crazy if he does something like that. That'd be so sick, though. But I feel like today's the day. It's already felt like he had his welcome to the Eagles moment these last couple of weeks. But today is the day that, when you beat Dallas, that's when you're really a part of the team. So I think Jalen Phillips, like I said it earlier, he's going to have a big day. I think he records a sack today. So if you are a defensive sicko out there and you want to bet defense, be my guest. That's not my cup of tea, but I think Jalen Phillips has a sack today.
All right. It is time for our trivia question answer. The question again. There was a former Eagle who has 2 100-yard interceptions returns against the Dallas Cowboys, making him the only player in NFL history to do so against the same team. It happened in 2004 and 2006. Matt Brown, I'm not letting you get 2 guesses. Give me your best guess.
That's okay.
Give me one guy. Who is it?
So I'd like to point this out. If Ben did not give me the quarterbacks and the years, like he gave me the years.
I helped him out.
He did a little bit. I'm going to give him that. I'm going to say it's a DB. There's only 3 guys I know were on both those teams for a fact, like during those times. I don't think it's Brian Dawkins. The 2 guys I have in mind are Sheldon Brown and Lito Shepherd. I'm going to go with Lito Shepherd. He's the better of the 2. That's my guess. Lito Shepherd. Final. I don't remember if this happened, but that's my final guess. Lito Shepherd. Let's go. Let's go. I'd like to point out, Ben, I wasn't getting that if you didn't give me the years. Those are the only 2 guys I could come up with. Otherwise, I would not have gotten that right. I'd like to point that out, but I am happy to get another question right for another week. Whew. Let's go.
Oh, my God. All right. Next week, you're getting You're getting a brutal question next
Oh,
week.
let's go. I'm excited
I'm
for
gonna
it.
ask you about the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets next week and give you 0 context clues.
You shouldn't have given me that. I probably would not have gotten that right if it wasn't for I'm glad I picked him. I was thinking about Sheldon Brown. It was between those two. Oh man, thank goodness I went with Lito.
All right, Lito Shepherd is the answer. He is the Eagle with 2 100-yard pick sixes. The only player in NFL history to do that against the same team, which is kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, a little bit. That's crazy.
I looked that up. I was like, is that true? Like that is that's kind of wild. So
The only 100-yard pick six I kind of remember from the Eagles is remember Malcolm Jenkins against the Patriots. I remember that. That's the one that like came right to my head. But I'm like, Dallas. I don't remember any 100-yard pick sixes against Dallas. So
yeah, I remember Sidney Brown a couple years ago had like a 98.
Oh yeah, the Cardinals won.
Like it wasn't 100.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys are. I think we've had this is week 12, so we've had 10 shows.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are 10-0. So I'm gonna get you guys eventually. You or Sim, one of you guys are going down, and then there's one show I won't be at, but I'm gonna enter in a question, and I'm gonna like Zoom. I'm gonna like call into the show, and I'm gonna be like, make you guys get it wrong. All right, let's move on to our Foco Fit Check. Real fans, they need the best gear. That's why Foco makes the most legendary gear for the most legendary fans. Click on the link in the description to save. Eagles wearing Kelly green on the road tonight for the first time since 1995. So it's been a long time coming, and it's going to look good down on Jerry's Road tonight. Matt, what are you rocking?
So I don't know if you can tell. This is what the old Kelly greens used to look like, the dark Kelly greens. I am rocking, see that 99? That's my guy, Jerome Brown, aka not Matt Brown. I like to always say that it's a custom jersey. Now, this is a Jerome Brown, older Kelly green jersey. You know, you got the logo right there on the shoulder. This is my dad's, and now it's mine. Like I like to wear it sometimes. This is one of my go-tos for Kelly green. I only have the Kelsey Kelly green, but I decided to switch it up. Went with Jerome Brown, one of my favorite Eagles, even though I never got to see him play. He was a stud, him and Reggie. So I've always been told to respect those two. So I love Jerome Brown.
Whenever the Eagles rock the Kelly greens, I gotta sport the Foco Kelly green overalls.
I like it. They look good.
They're so beautiful, so we're rocking them again today. Eagles are yet to lose when wearing the Kelly green since they brought them back in 2023. So they're undefeated without wearing the overalls. So if they lose today, these overalls, I mean, Foco's the best, so I don't know what I can or cannot do with them. But we love the Foco. We love the Kelly green. So thank you to Foco for sponsoring and sending me these when they did, because they are epic. So yeah, what are your thoughts? Best Eagles uniform, is it the Kelly greens or midnight?
You know, I actually was having this conversation with my one buddy last week, and I truly feel that the Kelly greens are their best jerseys. But I'm so accustomed to the midnight greens going up that that's like my jersey. So that I also am a huge fan of the all black. When it's black helmets, black, like all black uniforms they have, I think that's personally the best thing they wear. But in terms of midnight green versus Kelly green, I think the Kelly greens are a better jersey. They're so clean with the helmet. I think the helmets are the nicest part of that whole uniform. So I'd have to go with the Kelly greens, unfortunately. But I love the midnight greens as a kid who grew up on midnight green as the main jersey.
I agree with you with the black. I think the blacks are their best.
Yeah, they're so nice.
Sam will only wear them like once. It sounds like they'll be wearing them against Chicago on Black Friday.
That's so sick.
Just
Thank
makes
God.
so much sense. Which just makes sense.
It kind of looks so good.
It's good. It only makes sense. But I think the Kelly greens are cleaner. However, I associate midnight green with winning football.
That's true.
So I mean, they've won their 2 Super Bowls while wearing midnight green. So I always tend to lean towards the midnight green. All right, Matt, let's look at our keys to the game. How are the Eagles going to win today?
So we've been preaching it all night or all day during the stream. You got to contain CD and George Pickens. And by doing that, you got to get after Dak. You got to make his life hell back there. But you really just have to keep those two from really winning the game. I will be okay if, if they may have to go to Flournoy or even Jake Ferguson, or if they're trying to run the ball. I don't want to lose this game by seeing a box score of 10 receptions for 150 yards by Pickens and 7 receptions for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns by CeeDee Lamb. Like, I don't want to see that. If we lose and I see those stat lines, I'm going to be a little upset because that just tells me that they just couldn't get pressure. Dak, just had time in his pocket, and I don't want to see that. So they have to contain those 2 wide receivers all day and make other players beat them. And then the other one is score, score, score. This offense needs to continue to score, have long drives. Honestly, they haven't been able to do this all year. I would love to see them try to keep the ball in their hands and just dominate time of possession because it's something that I know it's hard to do, but they've always been good at doing that, this team, dominating time possession, and they have not been able to do that. They have not been able to extend drives, have long drives, and they need them to, and cash in on big touchdowns when they finish the drive. So score, score, score today. They need to score points if they want any chance of beating this Dallas team and outscoring this Dallas team. So those are by far my 2 biggest keys for today's game.
Nick Sirianni's main message this week with all the noise around Jalen Hurts and the offense was focus. He told the Eagles, if you chase 2 rabbits, you'll get none. So the Eagles hopefully are going to hippity-hop their way to a win. Sorry.
It's okay. That was good.
Let's look at our predictions for tonight. I'm going with the Birds. They're catching the rabbit. 24-16, Philadelphia. 5th straight win.
I like it. I am going with a similar closer score. You have an 8-point win. That's when I said this is going to be. I have Eagles winning 27-24. This is a tight one. I'm telling you, don't expect a blowout in this game. I would be very, very shocked. I just don't think that's in the cards for this game. I would love to see that because I don't want to be in a close game till 7:30 tonight. But 27-24, I think the Eagles score late. I think Jalen Hurts has a really big end of game drive, and they come away with a big victory. Eagles win 27-24 for, what is that, their 5th win in a row?
Yep, it'll be their
5th win in a row, and it'd be a big win for them.
It sure would. Eagles looking to hop their way to a 5th straight win, and we're going to hop on out of here. Make sure you hippity-hop your way to Fox to watch tonight's game. Eagles, Cowboys, thank you all for tuning in to the Eagles pregame show. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the show and Foco for the Foco Fit Check. Check out PhillySportsPoints.com post-game for Matt Brown's recap and throughout the week for more Eagles coverage. Make sure to follow the social media as well for in-game coverage for every single game. Ben Goldstein, Matt Brown, signing off. Happy Thanksgiving. We're thankful for all of you who tune in every single week. Go Birds!
Go Birds!